Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning, Miss Lynn.
Good morning, Miss
How's
Blue.
everyone?
Fine.
Fine.
Thank you.
Miss Lynn,
Yes, dear.
Miss, I have a question before we start, or
Okay,
can I ask?
sure.
Miss, yesterday you posted on Facebook on our page that we choose between two projects. So can you tell me what are they, because I'm confused?
No, I didn't say choose between two projects. I said you only have to choose one project, but the essay that you're writing is between two different things, either people or things or whatever you want to write on. You understand, Farah?
Yes, I
Okay. You don't have to do two projects,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
okay?
Miss Lynn.
All right, so today we're going to, first of all, I need to let everyone know that, wait, hold on. Let me try to get everyone in here. Okay, I need to let everyone know, I'm sure you have received a message by now that your attendance is counted for every online session, okay? And it will count towards your grades for next term. So when you enter, you need to go ahead and sign in. I won't remind you anymore. If you have not signed in, then you will be counted absent. It doesn't matter to me what excuse you have, you will be counted absent. Also, in the future, if you are 5 minutes late from when my session begins, I will put you in the waiting room and I will not allow you to attend the session, okay? Does everyone understand, and do you have any questions? Hello?
Yes,
Everyone
miss,
unmute
Yes,
yourselves, please. Another thing, if you're having problems with your
Yes, yes, ma'am.
computers, okay, wait 1 second. If you're having problems with your computers and you cannot participate when I call on you during the session, or you can hear me or I can't hear you, whatever the problem is, it's not my problem. You need to get your computers fixed today. If it's an internet problem, you need to call your internet provider and tell them that you're having a problem, okay? These sessions are very important. You're not on vacation. You're just learning from a different way, a different avenue. You're learning online instead of having to come to class every day, okay? I'm sure you also got the message about the term exam for term 2. You will have an exam in term 3, and that grade will count as both of your grades. Now, I have not decided if I will give you the complete novel To Kill a Mockingbird on term 3, or if I will give half of it as a quiz and put the other half on term 3 exam, okay? But I will let you know in plenty of time. We have lots and lots of time, okay?
Okay.
You're basically getting a free term this term from exams. So you cannot complain about what any teacher gives you for next term, all right? Hold on 1 second. Ritaj, why are you so late? Ritaj,
Yes, miss.
why are you so late?
I'm sorry.
I said, why are you so late?
because I didn't see that it was 20. I opened on at 25. I'm sorry.
Okay, Muhammad, why are you so late?
Same. I didn't saw the time passing by.
Okay,
Sorry.
I just announced to the class, if you enter any of my sessions in the future later, from now on, I will kick you out of the session. And I will put you in the waiting room. If you want to stay there, fine. If you want to leave, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. But you must attend the sessions on time. If you're having problems with your internet or speakers or whatever, you need to take care of it today. Because if I call your name and you're telling another student that you have problems, that's not going to carry through with me. You get graded on participation also. Does everyone in the class understand this?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Okay, I just want it made clear today. From now on, if you're 5 minutes late in my session, I will not allow you to enter the session. If you want to be counted for attending, as soon as you enter, you must sign in. If you forget, that's not my problem. It will be an absent day for you, okay? So you have to be responsible, guys. All right, we're going to start reading To Kill a Mockingbird, chapter 11. Anyone have any questions about the new rules I just put to you?
No.
Nothing? Okay. All right, chapter 11. Let's see. Abdallah, will you read, please? Everyone needs to unmute themselves.
Miss Abdullah is saying that he can't unmute himself.
I don't know why.
Uh,
Send him a message, someone, and ask him why can't he unmute himself?
it's showing that only the host can unmute participants.
I've already unmuted him.
He sent a photo showing that he's muted.
Huh?
He sent a photo showing that he's muted.
When I hit the button to unmute him, nothing happens. I'm clicking on it right now. Unmute Abdallah Rashwan. Abdul Rahman Abu Talib, can you hear me? I don't know what the problem is. I just now did you see the message I just put on there? Unmute yourself.
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I unmuted myself.
All right. Let's see who else. Abdallah did not unmute himself. Abdul Rahman, wait. Abdul Rahman Abu Talib did not. Bamika, can you hear me? She did not unmute.
Yes, Miss Lan.
Okay. Did you just now unmute? Farah Hashem, can you hear me?
Yes, Miss Lan.
Yes, Miss. Yes, I can.
Abdallah, can you hear me? There's something wrong on Abdallah's end. It has nothing to do with here. I don't know. Jenna Gouda, can you hear me? Krish, can you hear me?
Yes, Miss Lynn. Miss Lynn, you just wanted me to be unmuted, so I unmute. You just allow the, يعني, the host can only allow the participants.
I
It's
know
not for
that,
all.
but that's not, I know the host can only do this. My thing is, I'm doing it and some people are still muted. Yusuf Abaraga, can you hear me?
Yes, miss, I can hear you.
Miss, I can hear you now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, see, Abdullah is still showing up muted. And so is Abdurrahman Abu Talib. So is Debolina, Janaguda.
As for some students, it's showing that they can't unmute themselves.
Huh?
For some students, not only Abdullah and Abu
No,
Talib
there's a
and
whole list.
Dabalina. Yes, for many people, they can't unmute.
Muhammad Yasser and Zina also have the same problem.
Can they hear me?
Yes, they can hear you, but they
They
can't
have
unmute themselves.
Yes, miss. Now I can.
Everyone is unmuted, Bumika, is what I'm trying to tell y'all. The host has unmuted every single student today. You are unmuted.
I think the problem that in the
Miss, I
setting,
guess when they
Wait,
unmute,
Bumika, wait, someone else was talking.
I think the problem is in the Zoom settings.
Yes, I do
يعني
too.
I think Abdullah could go to the settings and see the voice part.
It could be. Abdullah, can you hear me now? See, he's not muted. Or he's not supposed to be. Every single student is unmuted right now. Anyhow, Sama, can you hear me?
Yes, Miss Lynn.
Oh, thank God. Would you start to read chapter 11, please?
Okay. Start.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Omen. When we were small, Jim and I confined our activities to the southern neighborhood. But when I was well into the second grade at school and tormenting poor Radley became pass, the business section of Maycomb drew us frequently up the street past the real property of Miss Henry Lafayette Dupose. It was impossible to go to town without passing her house unless we wished to walk a mile out of the way. Previous minor encounters with her left me with no desire for more. But Jim said I had to grow up sometime. Miss Depose lived alone except for a Negro girl in constant attendance, 2 doors up the street from us in a house with steep front steps and a dog trot hole. She was very old. She spent most of each day in bed and the rest of it in a wheelchair. I was rumored that she kept a PSA pistol concealed among her numerous shawls and wraps. Jim and I hated her if she wasn't a Porsche. When we passed, we would be raked by her uh, wrath, wrathful gaze, subjected to ruthless interrogation regarding our behavior, and giving a melancholy prediction on what we would amount to when we grew up, which was always nothing. We had long ago given up the idea of walking past her house on the opposite side of the street. That only made her raise her voice and let the whole neighborhood in on it. We could do nothing to please her. If I said as sunnily as I could, "Hey, Miss Depose," I would receive for an answer, "Didn't you say hey to me, you ugly girl? You
Muslim.
say good afternoon."
Yes. Wait, Selma.
Omika and Magdi muted themselves by mistake and are asking you to unmute them.
I'm sorry?
Omika and Ahmad Magdi muted themselves by mistake and want you to unmute them. They did it by mistake.
I'm sure. All right, are they unmuted now? Supposedly they are. Abdullah, can you hear me? See, Abdullah should not be muted. Abdul Talib should not be muted. It's showing that
Okay,
Adham is
Jana,
muted.
No, this is Farah, not me.
Yeah,
Okay.
Miss, I'm sorry. I can't change my name for some reason.
Huh?
I cannot change my name.
No,
For
no
some
one
reason.
can change their name. You have to be on here with your real name. If you're not on here with your real name, you're showing as being absent.
No,
That was a-
it's not showing me to rename. I can't rename myself.
Who is this?
I'm Farah Mahlab.
Wait, Farah.
She was Lucius. Once she heard Jam talk about it.
Zaina's iPhone?
Yes, Miss.
Zaina, you have to put your name on, baby. Farah, I don't even see your name, sweetie.
Yeah, I'm named Adham. It's my brother's name, and I cannot rename myself.
I understand what you're saying. Hold on.
Yeah.
One second. All right, Farah, try now.
Miss Lam?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome, babe.
Miss Lam?
Yes.
Can you allow host participants to unmute themselves? It's an option, I guess.
Yes. It's always unmute yourselves. Allow participants, which is you, to unmute yourself.
Yes.
I always have it clicked yes, allow.
Okay.
The
Maybe
only
there's a
thing
problem with
that
Zoom
you
itself.
cannot do is rename yourself unless I click on another button.
Okay.
Okay? All right, Selma, sorry, baby. Go ahead.
Miss, I'm sorry. It suddenly closed, and I cannot rename myself again.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
All right, Farah, try again, baby.
Okay.
Muslim Zoom doesn't want us to attend their session.
Yes, I renamed myself. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see you now. If anyone else has another name besides yours, change it now while I have it on.
Miss, I'm the same name, but I write my full name, Farah Hashim.
I know,
Like,
Farah.
I add my last name.
I know who you are. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Selma, go ahead. What if we don't finish this chapter while we're on here, which I doubt very seriously that we will, you need to complete it for homework, guys. All right, Selma, go ahead.
Okay. I would receive for an answer, don't you say hey to me? You ugly girl, you say good afternoon, Miss Depose. She was vexed once she heard them refer to our father as Atticus, and her reaction was
Selma, we can't hardly hear you, baby.
apoplectic. Besides, began the sassiest, most disrespectful mutts who ever passed her way. Besides being, we were told that it was quite a pity our father had not remarried after our mother's death. A lovelier lady than our mother never lived, she said, and it was heartbreaking the way Atticus Finch let her children run wild. I did not remember our mother, but Jem did. He would tell me about her sometimes, and he went livid when Miss Depose showed us this message. Jem, having survived poor Red, a mad dog, and other terrors, had concluded that it was cowardly to stop at Miss Rachel's front steps and wait, and had decreed that we must run as far the post office corner each evening to meet Atticus coming from work. Countless evenings Atticus would find Jim furious at something Miss Depose had said when we went by. Easy does it, son, Atticus would say. She is an old lady and she's ill. You just hold your head high and be a gentleman. Whatever she says to you, it's your job not to let her make you mad. Jem would say she must not be very sick. He hollered so. When the three of us came to her house, Atticus would sweep off his hat, wave gallantly to her, and say, "Good evening, Miss Depose. You look like a picture this evening." I never heard Atticus say like a picture of what. He would tell her the courthouse news, and would say he hoped with all his heart she would have a good day tomorrow. He would return his hat to his head, swing me to his shoulders in her very presence, and we would go home in the twilight. It was times like these when I thought my father, who hated guns and had never been to any wars, was the bravest man who ever lived. The day after Jim's 12th birthday, his money was burning up his pockets, so we headed for town in the early afternoon. Jim thought he had enough to buy a miniature steam engine for himself and a twirling pattern for me. Long, ha- I had long had my eye on that pattern. It was B.J. Elmore's posed pedic with sequins and tinsel. It cost 17 cents. It was then my burning ambition to grow up and twirl with the Macomb Country High School band. Having developed my talent to where I could pull up a stick and almost catch it coming down, I had caused California to deny me entrance to the house every time she saw me with a stick in my hand. I felt that I could overcome this defect with a real pattern, and I thought it generous of Jim to buy one for me. Miss Depose was stationed on her porch when we went by. "Where are you two going at this time of day?" she shouted. "Playing hockey, I suppose. I will just call up the principal and tell him." She put her hands on the wheels of her chair and executed a perfect right face. "Oh, it's Saturday, Miss Depose," said Jem. "Makes no difference if it's Saturday," she said obscurely. "I wonder if your father knows where you are." "Miss Depose, we have been going to town by ourselves since we were this high." Jim placed his hand palm down about 2 feet above the side boom. "Don't you lie to me," she said. "Jeremy Finch, um, Maudie Atkinson told me you broke down here Capernaum
Copernog,
airport, Capernaum
uh, Arbor,
air, air,
Arbor.
airport this morning. She's going to tell your father, and then you will wish you never saw the light of day. You aren't sent to reform school before next week. My name's not Depose." Jim, who hadn't been near Miss Mody's Capernaum airport since last summer, and who knew Miss Mody wouldn't tell Atticus if he had, issued a general denial.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? So now you know how mean Miss Du Bois is, okay? She's a very
Mhm.
mean old lady. Uh, Let's see.
Where they were going?
They were going to town. Jim had got some money for his birthday. Remember what she
Okay.
just read? Okay. Oh, where did I lost my place. Ah, right here. She says, don't you dare contradict me, Mr. Boyspald. And you, she pointed an arthritic finger at me. What are you doing in those overalls? You should be in a dress and a camisole, young lady. You'll grow up waiting on tables if somebody doesn't change your ways. A Finch waiting on tables at the OK Cafe. Ha! I was terrified. The OK Cafe was a dim organization on the north side of the square. I grabbed Jim's hand, but he shook me loose. Come on, Scout, he whispered. Don't pay attention to her. Just hold your head high and be a gentleman. But Mr. Boyce held us. Not only a Finch waiting on tables, but one in the courthouse lowing for niggers. Jim stiffened. Mr. Boyce's shot had gone home and she knew it. Yes, indeed. What has this world come to when a Finch goes against his raising? I'll tell you. She put her hand to her mouth. When she drew it away, it trailed a long silver thread of saliva. Your father's no better than the niggers and trash he works for. Jim was scarlet. I pulled at his sleeve and we were followed up the sidewalk by a philpotlick on our family's moral degeneration, the major premise of which was that half the Finches were in the asylum anyway. But if our mother were living, we would not have come to such a state. I wasn't sure what Jim resented most, but I took umbrage at Mrs. Du Bois's assessment of the family's mental hygiene. I had become almost accustomed to hearing insults aimed at Atticus, but this was the first one coming from an adult. Except for her remarks about Atticus, Mrs. Du Bois's attack was only routine. There was a hint of summer in the air. In the shadow, it was cool, but the sun was warm, which meant good times coming, no school, and deal. Jim bought his steam engine and we went by Elmore's for my baton. Jim took no pleasure in his acquisition. He jammed it in his pocket and walked silently beside me toward home. On the way home, I nearly hit Mr. Link Dees, who said, "Look out now, Scout," when I missed a toss. And when we approached Mr. Boyce's house, my baton was grimy from having picked it up out of the dirt so many times. She was not on the porch. In later years, I sometimes wondered exactly what made Jim do it. What made him break the bonds of, you just be a gentleman, son, and the phase of self-conscious rectitude he had recently entered. Jim had probably stood as much guff about Atticus lowing for niggers as had I, and I took it for granted that he kept his temper. He had a naturally tranquil disposition and a slow fuse. At the time, however, I thought the only explanation for what he did was that for a few minutes, he simply went mad. What Jim did was something I do as a matter of course, had I not been under Atticus' interdict, which I assumed included not fighting horrible old ladies. We had just come to her gate when Jim snatched my baton and ran flailing wildly up the steps into Mrs. Du Bois's front yard, forgetting everything Atticus had said, forgetting that she packed a pistol under her shawls, forgetting that if Miss Du Bois missed, her girl Jessie probably wouldn't. He did not begin to calm down until he had cut the tops off every camellia bush Miss Du Bois owned, until the ground was littered with green buds and leaves. He bent my baton against his knee, snapped it in two, and threw it down. By that time, I was shrieking. Jim yanked my hair, said he didn't care. He'd do it again if he got a chance. And if I didn't shut up, he'd pull every hair out of my head. I didn't shut up, and he kicked me. I lost my balance and fell on my face. Jim picked me up roughly, but looked like he was sorry. There was nothing to say. We did not choose to meet Atticus coming home that evening. We skulked around the kitchen until Calpurnia threw us out. By some voodoo system, Calpurnia seemed to know all about it. She was a less than satisfactory source of palliation, but she did give Jim a hot biscuit and butter, which he tore in half and shared with me. It tasted like cotton. We went to the living room. I picked up a football magazine and found a picture of Dixie Howell, showed it to Jim and said, "This looks like you." That was the nicest thing I could think to say to him, but it was no help. He sat by the windows, hunched down in a rocking chair, scowling, waiting. Daylight faded. 2 geological ages later, we heard the soles of Atticus' shoes scrape the front steps. The screen door slammed. There was a pause. Atticus was at the hat rack in the hall, and we heard him call, "Jim?" His voice was like the winter wind. Atticus switched on the ceiling light in the living room and found us there, frozen still. He carried my baton in one hand. Its filthy yellow tassel trailed on the rug. He held out his other hand. It contained fat camellia buds. "Jim," he said, "are you responsible for this?" "Yes, sir." "Why'd you do it?" Jim said softly, "She said you lawed for niggers and trash." "You did this because she said that?" Jim's lips moved, but his "yes, sir" was inaudible. "Son, I have no doubt that you've been annoyed by your contemporaries about me lawing for niggers, as you say. But to do something like this to a sick old lady is inexcusable. I strongly advise you to go down and have a talk with Miss Du Bois," said Atticus. "Come straight home afterward." Jim did not move. "Go on," I said. I followed Jim out of the living room. "Come back here," Atticus said to me. I came back. Atticus picked up the mobile press and sat down in the rocking chair Jim had vacated. For the life of me, I did not understand how he could just sit there in cold blood and read a newspaper when his only son stood an excellent chance of being murdered with a Confederate Army relic. Of course, Jim antagonized me sometimes until I could kill him. But when he came down to it, he was all I had. Atticus did not seem to realize this, or if he did, he didn't care. I hated him for that. But when you're in trouble, you become easily tired. Soon I was hiding in his lap and his arms were around me. "You're mighty big to be rocked," he said. "I don't care what happens to him," I said. "You just send him on to get shot at when all he was doing was standing up for you." Atticus pushed my head under his chin. "It's not time to worry yet," he said. "I never thought Jim would be the one to lose his head over this. Thought I'd have more trouble with you." I said I didn't see why we had to keep our heads anyway, that nobody I knew at school had to keep his head about anything. "Scout," said Atticus, "when summer comes, you'll have to keep your head about far worse things. It's not fair for you and Jim. I know that. But sometimes we have to make the best of things. And the way we conduct ourselves when the chips are down, well, all I can say is when you and Jim are grown, maybe you'll look back on this with some compassion and some feeling that I didn't let you down. This case, Tom, yes?
Magdi wants you to let him in.
No, I'm not letting him in this late. This case, Tom Robinson's case, is something that goes to the essence of a man's conscience, Scout. I couldn't go to church and worship God if I didn't try to help that man. Okay, this session is ending now. We're about to run out of time. That's why I wouldn't let Offit in, okay? So you need to continue here and read the rest of this chapter for homework tonight, so we can discuss it tomorrow. Are there any questions so far? No questions?
No.
Okay, so this will end our session now. We'll have grammar the next session.